Everyone is starting to be left speechless after it's being reported that David is not a suspect for the passing of Celeste Rivas.
For a defense attorney. Totally. And so I just think when we ultimately are told, at least what prosecutors believe the theory is on how the body ended up in the car, we're going to say, oh my God, it's going to be a wild story.
There could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. I mean, it comes very close to the camera. You can see the person and you can see what they're wearing something pretty distinctive, and there's photos 12 hours earlier, a person at the house wearing the same thing.
It's controversial of kids.
Private investigator Steve Fisher just dropped a major bombshell. He claims to have obtained video footage from July 29th, the very last time David Tesla's vehicle was seen being moved before he took off for his tour. What's disturbing is that the investigator believes Celeste's body might have been inside that car when it was relocated. And get this, Fisher says he's already identified the driver caught on camera. But that's not even the craziest part. According to Fisher's findings, there's a hidden second property, a luxury rental that David secretly used to keep Celeste isolated. Investigators think that's where the fatal incident actually happened, and insiders are whispering that an arrest warrant might be issued any day now. The case has taken a dark and twisted turn. It turns out that Fisher's investigation uncovered plans to destroy or hide Celeste's body in ways so disturbing that even seasoned detectives were shocked. This isn't some wild theory. Fisher insists he's found hard evidence of their grim intentions.
But I will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. And that's why we're trying to learn more about that. I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot in time, and things just, their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that we're just like, will blow your mind. There are some other items that were found at the house that weren't taken during the search warrant. And, search warrants are limited, right? That they can't just go take everything. It's what the judge, and we don't know how broad that search warrant was because we haven't seen it. And that's what we'd like to see. But there were some things that were not taken into custody of LAPD that we think are significant, and including digital media and some other things that really help nail down timeline and things like that.
Now let's break down how all this came to light. The homeowner of David's flashy Hollywood Hills rental had no idea his property was about to become a crime scene. Once word spread that a body had been discovered in the trunk of the musician's car, the owner immediately brought in Steve Fisher, hoping to uncover what really went down inside that house, not just to protect the property's reputation, but also its multi-million-dollar value. And Fisher didn't disappoint. He dove deep into forensic details like a real-life FBI agent. He revealed that the police apparently left behind crucial items when they first searched the property. According to him, the homeowner later stumbled upon evidence that should have been collected. Things like sharp tools, chemical agents, and other suspicious materials that could be linked to a cleanup attempt. It's believed these findings are what led Fisher to conclude that David and whoever helped him had sadistic plans to erase any trace of Celeste's body. The thought alone is chilling.
I've seen the car driven to that spot, and with the dates, with the date that it was, and they left town right after that. I'm certain that that's the last time the car was driven. It was put there with her, in the front row.
And there's one weird detail about there's a lot of weird details, and I'm going to get to what you saw through the driver's side window in a second, but there was an air freshener that was found in the car at this point that we see on our screen, where it was abandoned. Was that air freshener also hanging from the rearview mirror when it drove off from David's house?
It wasn't, but the window was half to 3/4 of the way down, which is odd because it was a very short drive. And also at that on that day, this is the very end of July 29th, it was like 78 degrees at the time of the morning, or 77 degrees, and if it was on the street where the house is, so it's shaded by the house. So if you're going to, I don't know why the window would be rolled down unless there's something offensive there, and then all of a sudden.
So now the big question remains: if all of this evidence is real, why haven't the authorities made a move yet? Could there be more powerful people involved behind the scenes, trying to bury the truth? Whatever the case, this investigation just got a whole lot darker, and everyone's waiting for the next shocking update. So, here's where things get even more twisted. According to private investigator Steve Fisher, the entire situation around that Tesla just doesn't add up. In his video, he pointed out how everything about that last car movement seemed rushed and panicked, and honestly, it makes perfect sense. Why on earth would someone leave the woman they were dating or possibly controlling locked in a trunk belonging to a vehicle registered in their own name? That body was never supposed to stay there. From what Fisher gathered, it looks like they had plans to dispose of Celeste's body before hitting the road, but the sudden start of David's tour threw everything off schedule. Once the crew packed up and left, that dark secret stayed behind, literally sitting in plain sight in his car. Now, Fisher didn't stop at just reviewing the car's movement. He went full detective mode. He started knocking on doors around the Hollywood Hills, asking nearby homeowners if they had security footage from July 29th, and guess what? He actually found clear CCTV footage showing David Tesla's car being moved that exact morning. The timing matches perfectly, just hours before David's tour bus pulled up to leave town. In that footage, Fisher claims he was able to identify the driver behind the wheel of David's Tesla. And here's where it gets weird. The person driving had all the windows rolled down, and apparently there was no air freshener visible inside the car. But when the vehicle was later impounded, investigators noticed a fresh air freshener hanging from the mirror.
One of the first things that I picked up on when the news first broke about the her being found, they were towing the car away from the impound lot to LAPD was, why on a $104,000 car is there a Christmas tree air freshener hanging from the mirror? It seemed kind of odd to me, but I guess maybe they thought that would help, mask it when they had to move the car again.
But talk to me about the date of this video, July 29th, and talk to me about what you saw. What did you see in terms of the identity of the person driving through that open window?
So it's very clearly that Tesla, one, because the Tesla has that tape on the rear spoiler for whatever reason. I don't know why it's there. And also, it was just like it is in that picture. It was that dirty, except you could tell that they had run the windshield wiper like once to clear the dirt away so they could see. It comes very close to the camera, although there is some motion blur, but you can see the person and you can see what they're wearing something pretty distinctive. And there's photos that I have from 12 hours earlier, a person at the house wearing the same thing.
So what changed? Fisher said it was about 78 degrees Fahrenheit that day, around 26 degrees Celsius for those who think in Celsius. A warm, sunny day in LA, not unbearable, but enough to make anyone uncomfortable if the car wasn't smelling right. So, was the driver just trying to air it out because of the heat? Or was he masking something much darker? That's the question that's sending chills through everyone following this case. Online sleuths are already speculating. Some believe that by the time the Tesla was moved, Celeste's body was already in the trunk, and the driver might have realized something was off.
The time the Tesla was left there, he literally immediately started the tour. There was a tour bus that was leased, and I'll tell you that Tesla was moved and literally a bus departed for tour.
Others think it was a cleanup mission, meant to move the evidence before anyone noticed. Either way, this new clue could be the missing puzzle piece that finally exposes what really happened that day. Fisher has reportedly handed over the footage and driver ID to law enforcement, and now everyone's waiting for the next move. Could this finally be the break investigators need to make an arrest? Maybe. But even Fisher hinted that the police are being extremely cautious, double-checking every lead before making their move. Still, this could be it, the key evidence that cracks the entire case wide open. Now, while the police are keeping quiet about the evidence, people close to the situation are whispering that Steve Fisher isn't the only one digging. Apparently, another independent source has come forward, claiming to have seen messages between David and one of his assistants from just days before Celeste disappeared. Those texts allegedly hinted at a problem that needed to be handled before the tour began. And now everyone's wondering if that problem was Celeste herself. Several insiders have also said that the second rental house Fisher found wasn't just a random property. It was rented under a shell company linked to David's manager, which could mean this wasn't just David acting alone. That's why people online are now asking whether this case is way bigger than it looks on the surface.
Another thing that I think could be key in this is that there's only one key to that house, and who had that, and who had access to it, and who was in it. Because we also have evidence that while David was on tour at the time between the Tesla being found and the search warrant being served, David was on tour, but somebody was in that house. And there was actually a report made, not with police, but that homeowner association has a robust private security company, and we've gotten videos from them and reports. And so who had that key is probably the same person that, had access to the Tesla.
Home is where David was living, although he does not own the home. LAPD investigators served a search warrant here last night, collecting evidence. Right now, however, this is only being called a death investigation and not a homicide, and we're told that is because the LA County Medical Examiner's Office is still working to determine how exactly this teen girl. Video shows crime scene investigators carrying out a laptop and other items from this home on Doheny Place. That's possible evidence. Police remaining very tight-lipped about the investigation. One neighbor we spoke to remembers seeing that distinct Tesla for a while. First, parked in front of the house police searched, and then at two different spots along the street.
It's a little weird to see a car that I haven't seen here for a long time. Had a big dent on it, had a Texas plate on it. So all a little.
And here's something else. Neighbors from the area around that second property have come forward saying they noticed a strong chemical odor coming from the garage a few days before David left town. One resident even said it smelled like bleach and something burning, like someone was cleaning up a huge mess. That comment alone has fans convinced that something went down inside that house. Meanwhile, Steve Fisher has supposedly obtained time-stamped footage from nearby homes that shows David's Tesla being followed by another black SUV the morning of the 29th. That detail could mean one of two things. Either David had help or someone was watching him. Either way, this changes everything. Even though investigators are still piecing things together, this new evidence is painting a terrifying picture. Between the text messages, the chemical smells, and the mysterious SUV, the puzzle pieces are starting to form a full story. One that suggests this wasn't a random crime. It might have been planned, covered up, and executed with help from people close to him. And the wildest part? Sources say David has gone completely silent, refusing to speak publicly or post anything since the investigation heated up. Whatever he's hiding, it's clear he knows the walls are closing in fast. So, here's another strange twist in this already tangled story. Steve Fisher revealed that there was supposedly only one key to David's rental house. Now, that might sound small, but think about it. If there's just one key, then technically only one person should have had access to the property. The homeowner confirmed that detail himself, which raises a big question. How did other people manage to come and go while David was on tour? Some folks think David may have cloned the key or quietly made another copy before he left. But Fisher mentioned something even more suspicious. He found out that someone else had been living in that house during the tour and even had access to David's Tesla. Now, who was this mystery person? That's still unclear, but it's proof that David wasn't acting alone. Someone else was clearly helping him manage things behind the scenes. And then things got even darker. Fisher noticed that David suddenly abandoned his black Tesla around January, switching it out for a brand new red model instead. He said the black Tesla's registration and tags had expired, which is weird on its own because who just leaves behind a six-figure luxury car like it's nothing? Especially when it's the same car now connected to this case.
It was moved to that position. It was already like that. So that car had not been used in a very long time. It was super dirty, caked on dirt. I'll tell you, this was in late July. So it's bizarre because we also have got media that the car was used a lot. David even spoke about it in Instagram videos. He took it to a detail shop and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the very beginning of the year, that car, something happens, and that car's doesn't show up anymore. It's not used. It seems to disappear. And then that red Tesla learned, which we didn't know until the search warrant was served, that there's a red Tesla in the garage, which I can tell you was at least on February 1st. I'll say the last photo that we have of Celeste is January 2nd, 2025.
Okay, now that's significant because we were wondering when, you know, she was last seen alive. There was that surveillance footage of her seemingly running away from her neighborhood.
And that was September of 24, I believe. So
yeah.
We didn't have anything. We were like, where was this girl in 2025? But we do have a photo of her on July 2nd, early in the morning, July 2nd, 2025. I tend to believe it happened a while ago, a long time ago. And I think January, February, things changed. I mean, you can see it in the photos and everything. And I also
The private investigator also pointed out that everything seemed to change around January or February, the same time when the last photos of Celeste were taken. After that, she vanished from social media, from events, from everything. So if you put the timeline together, David drops the black Tesla, leases a new one, and Celeste disappears, it paints a chilling picture. If what Fisher's hinting at is true, Celeste might have been gone since early in the year, which would mean her body was hidden for months before being discovered. The thought alone is horrifying. But here's what's confusing everyone. How could a body last that long without completely decomposing? Investigators are still debating that detail, but it's another reason why this case keeps shocking everyone following it. Fisher hasn't revealed who that mysterious driver was. And maybe that's for the best. The last thing the police need is a full-blown media frenzy before they've even wrapped their case. Still, every new clue seems to make this whole thing even creepier. Now here's where the mystery deepens, and things start connecting in ways that nobody saw coming. People online are now convinced that David Tesla was secretly renting not one, but 2 luxury homes, both located within minutes of each other in the Hollywood Hills. The private investigator Steve Fisher hinted at this in one of his YouTube clips, but didn't go into full detail. Still, a tweet from Fisher himself seems to confirm it. He believes Celeste Rivas actually died in early 2025, sometime between January and February, inside another home David was renting just 1 mile away from where her body was later discovered. That's not all. Fisher also implied that one of David's close friends, a guy named Neo, might have been the one who moved the Tesla. And that claim blew up fast because a Reddit user dropped screenshots showing receipts and rental records that suggest David had 2 active leases at the same time. One was his known Hollywood spot, and the other was what people now call Celeste's hideout. According to that Reddit thread, the second property was never searched by police, even though it's practically on the same street where Celeste's body was found. Fans are now asking, was this the real scene of the crime? Did David use that spot to keep Celeste hidden while he toured the country? It's chilling to even think about. What's wild is how fans started putting the visual pieces together too. They compared interior photos from Celeste's old TikToks and live streams with real estate listings for that second rental. And it's an exact match. The paintings above the bed, the kitchen counter, even the lighting setup all line up perfectly. In one TikTok, Celeste is seen laughing in front of a large floral painting.
It's controversial of kids.
And that same artwork shows up in the listing photos for the secret property. That's not a coincidence. Even creepier, both homes are incredibly close. The distance between David's main mansion and this hidden second property is just a 4-minute drive. And the location where the Tesla was parked in late July, Bluebird Avenue, is only 3 minutes from the Doheny house. Everything lines up too neatly, like a map connecting every part of this case. Now everyone's wondering, if the second house was really the scene, why hasn't law enforcement locked it down yet? Something isn't adding up. As the online community keeps digging, more strange connections are surfacing. And now it's looking like David's inner circle might have been covering for him all along. Several users claim to have found financial records showing large cash transfers made by David to both his assistant and to Neo during the exact same time period Celeste vanished. The timing is too suspicious to ignore. One of the payments was reportedly labeled maintenance, but people believe that was just a code word to disguise hush money. Meanwhile, locals who live near the second rental property say that after February, they began seeing unfamiliar cars coming and going late at night. One neighbor even said there was a night when a white van pulled up for less than 10 minutes and then disappeared into the hills. Nobody thought much of it at the time, but now everyone's connecting the dots. Could that have been when Celeste's body was moved? What's also interesting is that surveillance footage from a small convenience store near Bluebird Avenue caught David's red Tesla parked outside around 3:47 a.m., just days before the official start of his tour. In the clip, someone wearing a hoodie is seen walking out with cleaning supplies, gloves, and trash bags. Investigators haven't confirmed if it was David or one of his friends, but the timing makes it hard to brush off as coincidence. And then there's the cell tower data that fans have been obsessing over. Tech-savvy Redditors managed to track when David's phone last pinged near the second property, and it matches almost perfectly with the timeline Steve Fisher laid out. That means he was definitely in that area around the time Celeste was believed to have died. As of now, the police haven't publicly commented on these digital clues, but insiders are saying this could be the turning point of the entire case. If they can tie the transactions, the video evidence, and the GPS data together, then the story that David tried to bury might finally come to light. Everything's starting to point in one direction, and it's not looking good for David Tesla. The internet detectives didn't stop at theories. They pulled receipts, screenshots, and even real estate records to back everything up. When people matched photos from Celeste's old TikTok lives with images from a property listing, everything lined up too perfectly to ignore. The same kitchen layout, the identical marble counters, even the bathroom painting that David and Celeste once posed in front of, it's all there. You can literally overlay the clips and see that this was the exact same secret property people have been talking about. Now, sure, some folks online are saying this might have just been an Airbnb, but that doesn't explain why David would go out of his way to rent another place when he already had a mansion. The theory that's spreading fast is that this second home wasn't for fun or privacy. It was a hideout, a quiet place where David could keep Celeste away from public view and from the chaos happening at his main house. And here's the most chilling part. People are now realizing that Celeste was just a teenager, and there's no way she could have been living openly in a house full of grown men, managers, and hangers-on. That's why so many believe this Airbnb or rental was used to keep her hidden. What's even worse is that if LAPD hasn't gone through that property yet, there could still be vital evidence sitting there right now. Things that could link David directly to what happened. And it would make total sense why he'd choose that place for something so awful. He wouldn't risk destroying his multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills mansion's reputation or value. He'd do it somewhere temporary, somewhere off the radar, somewhere he could walk away from without questions. And let's not forget, David always had a crew around him, party guests, friends, so-called assistants who didn't really do anything but hang around. They were living off his money, staying in his houses, driving his cars. So if he told one of them to move the car or handle something quietly, they'd probably just do it, no questions asked. The more people dig, the clearer it gets. This wasn't just a celebrity scandal. This was a full operation, and now it's starting to unravel piece by piece. So yeah, just let that sink in for a second, because this whole situation is wild. Even though we don't have an official name for the mystery driver, it's still huge that Steve Fisher has managed to track down footage, connect the dots, and possibly identify the person who moved David Tesla's car. That alone could be the piece of evidence that finally pushes this investigation forward. Right now, the police are keeping everything under wraps, which means they're definitely working behind the scenes. They're probably verifying every little detail before the case explodes into the headlines again. But the fact that this private investigator uncovered so much, from the second property to the suspicious payments and the hidden footage, is insane. He's doing what the internet's been trying to do for months, but with real access and real proof. And honestly, that's what's keeping everyone hooked. The deeper people dig, the darker it gets. Every single day, new threads, new images, new recordings pop up online. Everyone's asking the same question now. So if the investigator knows this much, what else is still being kept from the public? Could there be more people involved? Could more arrests follow once the truth is out? One thing's for sure, this case is far from over. And when the full story comes out, it's going to shake more than just the entertainment world. It's going to raise serious questions about who helped, who stayed silent, and how something this twisted could stay hidden for so long. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next few weeks are going to be crazy, and I'll be covering every new update as soon as it drops. Also, make sure to click on the next video you see on the screen for more jaw-dropping celebrity drama and deep dive investigations just like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.